Hello and welcome to Safeguarding CRM Data, Single Solution Protection for Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics 365. Today's webinar is sponsored by Metallic and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from Actual Tech Media and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special event. Now, before we get to today's great content, we do have a few housekeeping items that will help you get the most out of this session. First off, we want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in our webinar control panel. Not only will we have team members responding to questions during the live event, but we'll also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation where we'll discuss in greater detail some of the top questions that you ask. That Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues you might experience. A browser refresh will fix most audio, video, and slide advancement issues, but if that doesn't work, just let us know in the Q&A and we'll provide further technical assistance. Second, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources, and I'd especially like to call your attention to 4 links from Metallic. There's a free trial, an opportunity to schedule a demo, and there are 2 data sheets, one on using Metallic with Salesforce and another on using Metallic with Dynamics 365. Also in there, in the handout section, are a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club, where you can get access to Actual Tech Media's great printed resources on technology topics, as well as a link to the ATM Event Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events. So I encourage you to access those resources now and share them with your friends and colleagues. Third, at the end of this webinar event, we will be awarding a $300 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize. The official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found, again, in your handout section. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll find the prize terms and conditions link there. Finally, one of the best benefits of this event is the opportunity to ask a question of our expert presenter. To help encourage your questions, we have a special additional prize for you. That's another Amazon gift card, this one for $50 for the best question. At the end of the event, we'll look at all the questions that came in, pick out the very best one, and contact that prize winner. And with that, let's get to today's fantastic content. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter today, Bryant Bell, who's Senior Product Manager at Metallic. And now I'm going to turn things over to Bryant.
Good day, everyone. I am Bryant Bell, the Senior Product Manager at Commvault, in charge of SaaS application data protection, specifically Salesforce.com, Dynamics 365, and Google Workspace. In this webcast, I'm going to talk about the importance of protecting your CRM data. Why is this important? Well, that's a really good question. It's important because our CRM systems have become the systems of record for all of our prospect, customer, supplier, and service data. Basically, it's all the data about who wants what, who has what, the costs, the times, the involvement, your customer service records, and much, much more. This data is paramount to running a business in our day and age. So what happens when you lose this data? Data loss and losing your records is never a good thing. But why am I showing you a picture of a pirate McDonald's? Well, at this McDonald's, there is no drive-through, and you can't get in unless you have a DoD security clearance. This McDonald's is where the digital images of the Apollo missions are stored and maintained. But in a dramatic example of data loss, the original tapes depicting the first lunar landing were accidentally erased. They were erased along with a batch of 200,000 other tapes that were set to be reused to save money. Luckily, these priceless artifacts of our nation's space exploration were saved. NASA was able to recreate the original tape using footage from broadcasts and other sources. So now, in this McDonald's, a NASA team constantly backs up analog materials in multiple digital formats and then refreshes the digital formats to guard against degradation. Well, how about another example that might bring this home for us? So, another story of data loss. You might have heard of a little company called Pixar. Well, back when they were making Toy Story 2, a huge chunk of the film of Toy Story 2 was nearly lost forever because of an erroneous command that started deleting animations. But luckily, a designer noticed that files were being deleted and pulled the plug, so to speak, on the server that was basically decompiling the sequences of Toy Story 2. So here we have it, digital assets, very valuable digital assets, because of a little mistake, an erroneous command that went off onto the server that had their final cut of the movie and almost erased Toy Story 2. But after intense efforts, Pixar employees were able to restore the lost files. This story, like the movie, has a happy ending, but that's not the case with every backup disaster. Here are the not so happy endings. Gartner estimates that for an average organization, IT downtime costs around $5,600 a minute. And if you relate that to your CRM workflows, those are customers that can't get service. Those are sales reps that can't access their opportunities, or they go into their opportunities and there's data missing from their opportunities, so they can't verify them. Those are leads that can't be worked and turned into new business. And what do you have? You have employees that get frustrated and possible dings to your public reputation. So if you really look at this, if you lose data, the cost can be minimal. Gartner estimates it could be $350 for a single account record that's lost, and maybe some related fields, to something more substantial, such as the last year of customer and field service data being deleted. This can cost your company lots of money. The Ponemon Institute estimates that to recover data from a malicious attack, it costs companies between $117,000 and $1.3 million to get that back to your applications so people can start using that data again. And data loss is not just limited to cyber attacks. I know that's what we hear most about, and you know, that's some FUD out there, but most of it comes from what we call just plain old human mistakes. Like the Pixar Toy Story example, when an erroneous command was issued. So let's put some figures to these causes. So if you look at it, data corruption, and that could be data corruption from integrations, updates, uploads of customer lists, integration with analytical tools, customized UIs, all sorts of things that you do to either add data, manipulate data in your CRM systems, and then also integrations for ways to access it in different ways. These data corruptions happen. Sometimes they're a mistake. Sometimes it just happens. But this data corruption accounts for 34% of the data loss in SaaS applications. And this applies to your CRM system as well, since your CRM systems are some of the systems that are used the most in your enterprise. Now, if we look at the second leading cause, those are malicious deletions. So ransomware, espionage, PII trolling, things that, you have some outside actors and also internal actors looking to get your information. These are those hacks. These are those intrusions. Some are from the outside, which it says about 19% are, and some are from the inside. Around 6% are from the inside. But this adds up to 25% of the deletions. And then you have the 20% more here, which is, those are the wonderful things that we call the oops, where somebody's going through and updating records and they're just jamming through the data and they start entering in stuff in the wrong fields, deleting things in the wrong fields, and before they know it, they've deleted a dozen or so records. They don't know how to get back to it. They've got to call up IT and say, hey, can you restore this? But these are user and admin errors, honest mistakes that happen all the time. We're just human. These things happen. But these are all the things that you can recover from if you have a good backup plan. So what do? Do you rely on your SaaS app provider? Let me say this again. So if you lose data in your CRM system, if you lose data in Salesforce or Dynamics 365, do you rely on your SaaS app provider? Do you rely on Microsoft and Salesforce to restore it for you? Well, if you do, you may be in for a surprise. And here's why. Your CRM SaaS provider, either Microsoft or Salesforce or any of the other ones out there, they provide your company with the infrastructure and the applications. They are concerned about making sure that your company, that your employees, that your vendors and your customers have access to the application. They're concerned about uptime. They're concerned about making sure that that infrastructure and those applications that they're providing to you in the cloud are available. But when it comes to what gets put into those applications, your data, it is your data. And because it's your data, it makes it your responsibility. So you're looking at the shared responsibility models here from Microsoft and also from Salesforce.com. So if you look at this, you can say, yes, Dynamics 365 saves data for 28 days in a recycle bin. But what if you need to restore past that time frame or have compliance needs to show how the records changed over time? The same is true for Salesforce. You can make a full copy to a sandbox once a month, but what happens if an error is made in the middle of the month? Can you restore from a specific point in time, say 5 days ago? You really can't. And these divisions of responsibility are documented by Microsoft and Salesforce. And they also point out in this documentation that a third-party backup and recovery system is recommended. Well, what can a third-party backup and recovery system do to protect your valuable data that's in your CRM systems? Well, let's look at 4 things here that I think can really drive home some of the importance of having a dedicated backup. And when we talk about having a dedicated backup, it's not replacing the things that come along with Dynamics 365 or saying that what you may have with Salesforce is bad. What we're saying is you need to extend and enhance whatever native capabilities there are, because even Microsoft and Salesforce say that they're not enough, that it's your responsibility to protect the data. So let's look at what we can do. First of all, extended retention. Almost all large enterprises have data compliance regulations. They need to hold on to data for longer periods of time than just 28 days. They need to be able to show what's happened in a conversation, who said what to when at a certain time. And in order to do that, being able to have a backup copy that's retained for a longer period of time is very, very useful. It provides you with safeguards. So a dedicated backup system offers you that extended retention. Also, granular control. This is that, you can do it at the object or the record, the table, the item, the field, the record, and even metadata. Being able to restore those particular pieces from a point in time of your choosing to be able to restore data where it needs to be restored. So a lot of the native controls that you have allow you to restore, but you have to restore a full table. You have to restore a full object or a full set of objects. You can't just go down to the granular level and say, I just need this record or I just need this field. So a good third-party backup system is going to give you that granular control, not only down to what you actually need to restore, but also to the point of time of which you need to restore it. The other thing we talk about also is being able to have a third-party backup system gives you data separation. You want to isolate your backup from your production. Think of it this way. If you are maintaining your backup copies on the same production system as your production environment, it's the same thing as parking your car, putting your keys in the glove box and shutting the door. You're not really securing anything. Anybody could walk in, open up your car, go to the glove box, take the keys and take your car. So the same thing goes with being able to have data separation. You need to isolate your backup copy from the environments that you would need to restore. And this is just good common sense. So these are things that a third-party backup system provides you. And then rapid recovery. For example, in Dynamics 365, sure, you can use the Power Apps tools to restore from that 28-day period, but you have to bring everything in, the full tables, into a sandbox first, then from the sandbox into the production environment. Having a third-party backup tool allows you to, from a table or a record or a field in that record, you can store that directly back into your production environment. The same thing goes for Salesforce.com. So here you have it. There's 4 really good points here from extended retention, granular control, data separation, and rapid recovery of why it is wise to have a dedicated third-party backup system. Metallic provides a dedicated third-party backup system that meets the 4 points that I just talked about and more. Metallic offers backup for both Dynamics 365 and Salesforce.com, and you can manage them through one interface. So what do we offer for Microsoft Dynamics 365? Well, we have automated protection for your Dynamics 365 CE data. That is your customer engagement data. That's for your marketing, your sales, your customer service and field service apps on Dynamics 365. We provide full fidelity backups, all the tables, roles, columns, attributes, files, and more. We provide that flexible restore where you can restore the item level directly back into your production environment, or if you want to restore into a sandbox, we can do that as well. And since we offer the extended retention, we meet most of your compliance needs for long-term retention. Metallic also provides data protection for your Salesforce environments, for your production environments, and all of your sandbox environments. We have hassle-free protection for the Salesforce clouds. So what do? Sort of the same thing we do for Dynamics 365. We have automated backups, but these automated backups can protect multiple organizations. So if you're a large organization and you have 2 production environments, you have some partial sandboxes, you have 1 full sandbox, whatever your environments are, we can protect those. We can also preserve that we can preserve that content, all the relationships, the files, the custom objects, profiles, metadata, all of that gets backed up. We also provide the rapid recovery, but in addition, we provide you the tools in order to seed your sandboxes as well. You can seed your sandboxes from your backup, and we provide you templatized methods to do this. You can seed them. You can mask personal information when you seed those sandboxes. And we don't limit you on how many times you can seed the sandbox. Basically, because you're seeding it from your backup copy. You can seed it from your most recent backup copy, which may have been just 8 hours ago or 12 hours ago. So you're getting relevant, fresh data into your sandbox without having the restrictions that are placed on you by Salesforce. So this is really important. And we make it easy for you to use through our sandbox seeding templates. So I talked earlier about SaaS applications and how they need to be secure, and that SaaS application providers are really concerned about uptime and security. And that goes the same for Metallic. We provide seamless data protection across your platforms. And what do I mean by that? Is that whatever Metallic is backing up, you can look at that through a single interface. Basically saying we have unified coverage. So whether you're backing up your Dynamics 365 or you're backing up Salesforce, or you're backing up your VMs or like an Azure database, all of that you can protect with one application. We have reliable performance. We have that uptime, that 99.99% uptime for you. We have hardened security, multi-layered security with a zero trust access model. We air gap between the applications and the databases and where we store our backups. It's encrypted both at rest and in flight. And it comes to you in a simple SaaS delivery. You can sign up, start to deploy, and start backing up today. So a little bit more about our multi-layered security approach. Now I mentioned that, just like other SaaS application providers, we're concerned about uptime. We are vigilant about security for our customers. So if you look at your data, whether it's your on-premise workloads that you're backing up into Metallic, whether it's your cloud workloads such as Microsoft Azure or Kubernetes or AWS, your endpoints, and of course your SaaS applications, which we're talking about here today, which is Dynamics 365 and Salesforce. These are all backed up. And when they get backed up, that data, we encrypt the data in flight and at rest. We have that isolated virtual air gap between those applications and our SaaS infrastructure to provide you that security. And then on our infrastructure, which is a separate security domain, we have early threat detection, which, we look at trends, user behaviors, anomalies, all of the safeguards that you need to protect your data. We have multi-factor authentication and zero trust access controls as well. And looking at this slide, you can see all of our certifications that we have, from HIPAA to FedRAMP to ISO certification. All of this speaks to the attention and the detail we put to safeguarding your information. Now, I'm going to take the next few minutes and go into the product and show you how easy it is to back up Salesforce.com and Dynamics 365, and how easy it is to do a point-in-time restore. Welcome to the demo portion of this webcast. Right now, what you should be seeing on your screen is the Metallic Hub. And in the Metallic Hub, when you first enter, you're going to see the Metallic Service Catalog, which has a listing of all of the data protection services that Metallic offers. And you can see that we provide data protection for Active Directory, databases, endpoints, file and object, as well as Office 365, VMs and Kubernetes. And also we provide ThreatWise, which is an early warning threat detection system for added security for your systems. But since we're here to talk about data protection for CRM systems, you can see that we provide data protection for Microsoft Dynamics 365 CRM applications, also known as Dynamics 365 CE for customer engagement, and also Salesforce. And we provide protection for Salesforce Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Financial Clouds, the Health Cloud, GovCloud Plus, and other clouds as well. So let's get into this. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is I'm going to click on Salesforce, see my services here. And the first thing you're going to see is a dashboard on your protected data sources for Salesforce. And you can see all of your production and all of your sandbox items, what the success rate is for your backups, and then also your plans. And a plan is basically a backup plan defines what will be backed up, how often the job will run as well. So here you can see that we have retention that's infinite retention, and the backup frequency is once a day or one backup every 24 hours. And we're backing up 5 organizations. So let's go look and see what that looks like for Dynamics as well. So the Dynamics dashboard, a little bit different. So we look at the full environment of Dynamics and the environment size, how many tables are in there, and how many items are in there as well. Now, with Dynamics, you customize the names of your sandboxes and productions. And what we look at is we look at everything within your environment here. So you can have multiple sandboxes, productions as well, and we look at all of them as one. We're also looking at it through the Microsoft Dataverse, which is the data orchestration layer that sits beneath Dynamics 365 and all other model-driven Power Apps. We can see our weekly success rate here, and then also our backup plan, which again, the backup plan is infinite retention, which is default, and the default is also for Dynamics, the backup frequency is every 24 hours. The other thing I need to mention is that with these plans in Metallic, you also get unlimited storage. So the next thing you ask is, okay, well, how do I connect the Metallic backup to my SaaS application? And it's really simple. You click New Configuration. It goes into the Metallic Command Center, and you see here that we are going to create a Dynamics 365 app, which is just our way of saying we are going to connect Metallic to your SaaS service. And we recommend that you do the express configuration for Dynamics 365, and you simply sign in with Microsoft. So if you click here, what's going to happen? You get a configure it as your app. That's what it's looking for. And then it's going to open up a new Microsoft tab or window, depending on what type of browser you're using. And then you just pick an account. And once you have that account, then you sign in. So I'm not going to sign in. I just wanted to do this for demonstration purposes for you. So I am going to close this out and show you what this looks like if we do this for Salesforce as well. So I'll go back to Metallic, close out the Dynamics, go into my Salesforce, see my dashboard, and then hit New Configuration. When I hit new configuration here, come up with add a Salesforce organization. So I'm going to do my demo production, and that's my production environment here. You can also add your sandboxes here as well. So with the Salesforce authentication, you have to pick either production or sandbox. So in simple, again, you just log in with Salesforce. So you click this, and the Salesforce authentication window pops up. And you simply put in your username and password and sign in. And as soon as you sign in, the Salesforce will authenticate against Metallic, and we will be able to start doing backups of your full organization. So let me click out of that. So now you've seen how we authenticate. Let's start with Salesforce, and I'm going to show you how we, first of all, do restores. So I'm going to select my organization. Here's my production organization here. I'm going to open this up. And the first thing that you're going to see is that you have some information about your organization, how you named it, what your org ID is, the environment is a production. You have your plans, and a plan, again, I wanted to say this for you all. A backup plan defines what will be backed up and how often the backup job will run. So that is the plan. Those plans can be modified as well. This tells me when my last backup time was, what the backup size was, and it looks like it did a full backup, and then how many protected entities are there. We have throughout, we have little information boxes so you can click and you can find more information about here. So here you can see all the metadata, all the objects, and all the files. A really quick view of what's being protected. So let's do a recovery. So like I said before, we provide you the ability to do point-in-time recovery. So I want to do a recovery from, let's go here, and then I'm just going to start doing the restore from here. Now, as soon as you click restore, you get an option of what you want to restore. So you can do object level restore, record level restore, or metadata restore. I'm going to do a record level restore. It lets me dive down deep into the records. So I have an organization. I am going to go here, and I want to show the latest backup. And I'm going to select account, and I now have all these accounts. So I can select, for example, pyramid construction. I can select that, and then I can hit restore. And on pyramid construction, now I have some more options. I can restore all the fields for pyramid construction, or I can come in here and say, you know what really needs to be restored is that for some reason the account number got messed up, and also the description got messed up. So I want to restore those. I'm going to hit OK. So it shows me I got the account number and the description. And do I want related objects to be restored as well? So if these show up anywhere else in the parents, maybe not, but the children cascading down, I want to do all children. So that takes place. Do I want to disable triggers? So I do want to disable triggers, and here's the reason why. There are certain triggers and workflows that you want to be able to disable, because if those workflows are running while these fields are being restored, and those fields are part of that flow, it might complicate your operation. So I'm going to click that, and I only want to restore changed or deleted records. So that's my restore. And then when I hit submit, I'm going to hit submit here, and it's going to tell me this is the restore type, the restore time, the source organization, the destination. Now, since this is the demo system, if I hit yes, I'm going to get an error. So I'm going to back out of this, but that gives you a good idea about how deep you can drill down to restore. And I'm going to be restoring, this is restoring directly back into production. I'm not restoring into a sandbox first and then back into Salesforce. But this goes directly back into Salesforce. So you can see my targets right there. And I'm going to cancel this out. So that's an example of record level restore. So I want to show you one other thing here too that is really nice. So we have sandbox seeding. So for those of you that maintain training sandboxes and development sandboxes, you know that getting fresh data consistently into those sandboxes whenever you want is something that saves you time and is a huge advantage. So we have sandbox seeding, which is very simple here. You can see I have quite a few templates already, but we're going to create a new one. I'm going to show you how easy this is. So for the template here, I am going to do demo 1. And you have a chance to, if you want to put a data masking policy on PII, you can, and we have full data masking available in Salesforce. And then I'm going to start just adding my objects. So I click on this, and I can do all records, SQL clause, the most recently updated records, or records updated in the last X number of days. So I'm going to select my objects. And you can simply go through here, scroll down, and select the objects that you want to restore. Want to seed. So I can select account, business hours, calendar, case, and those are the fields I want to seed. But if I want to use all the fields, I'm just going to select all. So now I have all. I can hit OK. And I want just the most recently updated records. It says 1,000 there. Since I'm going to be working with a partial sandbox, I'm going to remove a 0, and I'm just going to have 100. It also wants to ask me if I want parents and children, and I'm going to select the immediate children only, so I limit the size. And then I'm going to add that rule. When I add that rule, it's going to give me another chance to go through here and edit these. So if I want to edit any one of these objects before I seed, I can do that, and I can edit here, I can delete it, I can preview what it's going to show. So that gives you some great flexibility. And then as soon as I'm finished there, I just hit save, and I have a brand new template. So once I have a template, it's very easy to go in, select that template, and then you seed your sandbox. And then all you have to do is select the sandbox, and this sandbox is the first one on the list, and that was the one that pops up, and it's really the only one that I have in my organizations. So that's where it would go. I don't have to worry about triggers and rules because I'm going into a sandbox. And if I had masking, I could apply masking on the destination. So I'm going to cancel out of here, but that shows you how easy it is to create a template. Now, what else can you do with the templates once you have them? If you say, oh, hey, I really like this template, but I want to change it a little bit for another sandbox, you can come in here and clone it and then edit it. And editing it, it's very easy. You just go into the edit function and edit that template. But that is our sandbox seeding template feature. So I'm going to go back to the overview. Click us out of here. So that is our ability to back up and restore Salesforce.com. So now that we've seen Salesforce.com, we are going to go into Dynamics 365 CE. You see I have one organization here. I'm going to click into that organization, and you're going to see everything that I have here. So the size, the tables, the number of items as well. If you want to look at the tables directly, I can look at the tables and see what I have. So I have all of these tables. I have different environments as well. So there's an AMS default environment, which I use as my sandbox. And then I have my metallic MS environment as well. So these are my tables. I can look into the tables and see what's in there. I have my table details. If I'm going to recover that table, I could pick a point in time and recover just that table and hit restore from the first. And then from that account, I can select everything that's in there if I wanted to or not. I could come down here and select a datum and then go over and select and say properties. And when I get into properties, I get to see all the fields that are in a datum and what the values are. And I can restore those fields separately. So that shows you how we can drill down into the data of the tables. Now I'm going to go back again and look at monitoring, and we don't have anything there. So back to the overview. This also gives you a little backup health here. As soon as this pulls up, we have point in time recovery points. So I'm going to back up from last Monday. I'm going to hit restore. And then I come in here and I say, okay, what do I want to store? I want to do this one, Metallic MS. And I want to go into accounts. And then I'm going to pick AdventureWorks. And let's see what's the modified date. Nothing's been modified, but I just want to pick, let's see, I want to pick things that were modified by Michael Scott. I can pick everything that he did. So let's look at his Microsoft account. Drill down into that. Look at the properties. And we can see here's all the properties of that Microsoft account. And I want to restore just the account IDs and the addresses fields. And I think that's pretty good. And then when I click restore, it's going to ask me where I want to restore it. I can restore it back to Dynamics 365. And that's my option right now. I can restore it into its original location, or I can restore it to another location, and I can pick those locations. Right now, since this is a demo system, we only have one environment for it to restore to. So that is it for the demo of Dynamics 365 CE. We will back out of this and return to our overview screen. So that's really it for Dynamics 365. It's quick and easy. You can see what we're able to do, how we back up and restore. And let me take you back to the Metallic Hub. Go back to the Metallic Hub and back to all the services that we protect. So I know that was a brief demo, but I hope it was enough to give you an idea of how easy Metallic makes it to back up Dynamics 365 and Salesforce.com. So now you've heard a little bit about what we can do. You've seen the product, but I also want to let you know what the industry thinks about Commvault and Metallic as well. As you can see from here, Commvault was named a leader in the 2021 Gartner Magic Quadrant for Enterprise Backup and Recovery Software Solutions. Matter of fact, we've had a decade of being named as the leader. And we believe that this recognition is due to Commvault's ability to handle all of your data protection needs. This all amounts to Metallic setting the bar as the gold standard for data management as a service. What do we offer our customers? How can we say that we offer the gold standard? Well, we support all major SaaS and enterprise workloads. We are uniquely positioned to help customers on their hybrid cloud journey with a velocity of workload additions that is unmatched by our competition, and with the trusted leadership of Commvault plus the backbone of Microsoft Azure. We really think it's an unfair advantage of bringing solutions to the market as fast as we do. You can see here, we really protect from the edge to the cloud and to the data center. All the things that we protect, from Office 365 to Oracle to Kubernetes to VMware to your SQL Server to SAP and AWS plus Salesforce and Dynamics 365. And we've been recognized and trusted for innovation and being able to deliver to the market. Well, that brings me to the end of today's webcast. And I want to say thank you for listening in. Hopefully, I've been able to give you some information about why it's necessary to protect Dynamics 365 and Salesforce, really protecting all of that valuable information that you have in your CRM systems. It would be absolutely devastating and expensive if you're not able to access that data when your company needs to access that data. So one thing, and I'll leave this with you, that's up here on the screen right now, is that you can go and try Metallic for free today. You can get up and running today on a free trial, and all you have to do is go to metallic.io/trial, and you can download a trial, whether you want to protect your Dynamics 365 environment or you want to protect your Salesforce environment. This trial will work for both. And it's very easy. You sign up for the trial, put your information in, go through the Metallic Hub, and then authenticate. And we automatically authenticate against your environment. And you can run your first backup. If you want to authenticate against the sandbox, authenticate against the sandbox. A dev environment, authenticate against the dev environment. Whatever you want to do, you can use this trial and see it today. So with that, I open it up for questions, and please put your questions in.
All right, great. Yeah, and before we do get into the questions, I've put up a poll here. And so that's, where do data management, data protection, purchasing decisions fall within your organization? So we'll just leave that up if we get into the Q&A portion here. Bryant, are you ready for some questions?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. And I just have to say, great presentation, but your Toy Story anecdote brought back horrible memories for me of writing a term paper on an Apple IIe where the only way I had to save was to print it. And I kicked the plug 10 pages into a 15-page paper and, ended up doing sort of an extreme all-nighter. So thanks for making my hands sweat in remembering that. So our first question here.
I've been there too with that. So
yeah. Our first question comes from Brad, and he's wondering, are your backups stored in the cloud? And if so, how are they protected from attackers, ransomware, et cetera? Are they air-gapped as well?
Yeah, so we had a slide on that. And so the backups for Metallic are backed up in our own instance of Azure. And they're backed up there, and we have that air-gapped. And it's encrypted. We encrypt in flight and at rest. And it's a very secure environment. Matter of fact, it is FedRAMP certified. And we also support for Salesforce, we also support GovCloud and GovCloud Plus. And to get those certifications, we have to have a secure system.
Gotcha. Okay, great. And I do have a quick follow-up to that, but before I get to that, thanks to everybody who answered this poll question. I'm going to put up one more poll question, and then we'll put back up the Q&A slide so everybody can access that free trial resource. But this poll here is, what CRM is your organization running? So we'll just let that poll go there while we get into some more questions. So Brian, the follow-up to that is they're asking, what do you mean by air-gapped backups? When Metallic talks about air-gapped, what does that mean?
So really what we mean by that is there's a true separation between your SaaS app that's up on the cloud and our infrastructure that is capable of backing that up, but then also restoring that. So there is separation between the two environments, separation between the tenants, and that provides you, we're doing the encryption across that as well, but that's providing you really the ability that if your SaaS apps, say for example, Salesforce goes down, if your region of Salesforce goes down, that doesn't mean that we're going down too. And if you can get up and running on another region with Salesforce and find out that, oh, hey, look, the last 2 days isn't on that region, you can then restore from Metallic directly into that new region that they get you set up on. But it really means a separation of the two infrastructures, separation of tenants, things like that.
Okay. All right, great. And thanks to everybody who answered this poll as well. And now I'm just going to put up that Q&A slide that does have the link. And I also want to remind everybody about all the resources that Metallic provided in the handout section. There are 4 great links in there as well. Brian, this next question comes from Matt, who's asking, does your solution offer data isolation or recovery solutions to minimize the impacts of a potential cyber attack?
Yeah, so if your SaaS app gets attacked, our data is isolated and encrypted on a separate tenant. So if somebody goes after your data, say for example, somebody goes after you get a ransomware attack, it's simple. Really, is that you can pull down your applications, refresh a new application, and we can restore it with your latest backup, and your backup and running. So, a ransomware is saying, oh, we're going to hold your data hostage. And, great. That's fine. You can hold it hostage because I have copies held with Metallic that I can restore from right away. And I have backups that are done every 24 or every 12 hours. So I'm in good shape.
Okay. All right, great. This next one comes from Paul, who's asking, how well does Metallic integrate with Salesforce in regard to sandboxing/testing environments?
Hey, great. So we have direct authentication with your complete Salesforce.com environment, and we protect all of the clouds. The only cloud we don't protect, and not a lot of other providers do, is the marketing cloud. That's basically because it's on a different code base than all the rest of their clouds. But we protect all the clouds, and we protect all their sandboxes too, whether it's a dev sandbox, a full production sandbox, or even the partial sandboxes. And you just, when you set up Metallic to protect your Salesforce.com environment, your full instance, you basically authenticate to your sandbox. So we can see everything that's in that sandbox. We can back it up. But on the flip side of that as well is that you can use the backup of your production environment to seed any sandbox that you want. And with our templates, you can also limit the volume of that. So if let's say you're using the production environment to back up to a partial sandbox that you're using for training, you can select just a minimum amount of records or last couple days of changes, and be able to basically seed a partial sandbox that way. So the integration is
Okay.
is very tight, and it's done via OAuth and following the Salesforce.com protocols.
Great. Let's see. Deb commented that that was a pretty slick demo. So a couple of kudos in there. One there from Deb. Thank you. And Matt has a question. What's the smallest interval that backups can be done at? And I'd love to expand on that. What are you seeing in terms of best practices from people in terms of their CRM backups? What kind of intervals are they setting?
Yeah, so it depends on what industry you're in, and what your recovery point objectives are, which lots of times are dictated by the industry you're in. So there's two things that limit that though for you. One is if you're doing a lot of transactions a second, so a lot of data is changing. The way we do the backups is that the first time you authenticate, we do a full backup. And then the backups after that are what we call partial backups. So we're monitoring your system, and what we're doing is we're backing up only the data that's changed since the last backup. So we can keep those backup sizes fairly small, but what we recommend is to really not go below every 4 hours, and that just allows for anything that might happen. But we can do it fairly quickly. So if, let's say you're a financial services organization, you need to make sure that your recovery point objectives are very close. The one thing that we need to look at while we're helping you set those up is what's the amount of data that changes on an hourly basis, because that's going to dictate really the size that you're going to be backing up on an hourly basis if you want to go every hour. The other thing that's going to limit that, and it's not so much a problem on Dynamics 365, but it is on Salesforce, is that you're limited to a certain amount of API calls in a 24-hour period. So if you start doing frequent backups within that 24-hour period, you might eat through your API call limits. And if you do, you end up basically slowing the system down for your production use. But we have an answer for that. Wow. So we limit the amount of we provide the customer to limit the amount of API calls that our backups use to a certain percentage of your 24-hour allotment. So by default, we use only 50%. You could raise that up to 75, or you can lower it down to 10. It depends on what you want to do, but we do have a solution for that.
That's fantastic. That's a really you can see the value of having a backup partner who's focused on CRM and knows the ins and outs of Salesforce and Dynamics 365 that way. That's awesome. The last thing is, Brian, I think we're running out of time, but if somebody wants to get started with Metallic or find out more, what do you recommend?
So what I recommend is, the first thing you do, if you just want to investigate and look around and see what Metallic has to offer, go to metallic.io. There's a lot of great information on there. There's white papers and a lot of other information that you can find on just metallic.io. And if you want to roll up your sleeves and start trying it out, you can download the free trial. And we have a trial for Dynamics, and we also have a trial for Salesforce.com. So you can download those directly for free off of metallic.io today.
Great. Well, Brian, thank you so much for being with us today and for all this great information. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you everybody for attending today.
And before we wrap up, we do have one more piece of business. It's the $300 Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of our $300 Amazon gift card today is Frankie Louie from California. So congratulations to Frankie. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Metallic for making this event possible. I want to thank all of you for attending and for your great questions. And that concludes today's event. Have a great rest of your day.